guys, welcome back. Yes, thank you for staying with us this far if you've watched all the others.
Darren
probably need a medal.
Yeah.
What happened next was we found the short-eared owl that was injured, broken wing. We managed to catch it eventually. We spoke to our friends and we said, what do you do? Do you send it to a normal vet, just take it into the Yamble to our vet there who saw our dogs? Or is there a specialist somewhere or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
So they said, the next bit, which was probably going to change the rest of our lives, and they said, there's a rescue centre in Stara Zagora. We obviously decided that we would go
and investigate.
We'd go and investigate,
Yeah.
or we'd go and see, where is this place?
Yeah.
Never heard of it, let's go and have a see. So we did, we took the bird up there and we gave that to them, and then they showed us around the place, and it's in two sites.
Mm-hmm.
There's the bit that the vets work in, and they do all the operations and try to fix the wings and things like that. And everything is to try to release back into the wild.
Yeah.
On the opposite side, they've got a very small visitor section, and it's where they do the breeding things. So things like griffon vultures, they've got a project with. I know for certain at that time they had. So we sort of looked around here, and I said to Nikki, I said, "Ooh, am I volunteering here?"
Not like you didn't have time.
No, exactly. So it was. We thought we'd inquire. So Nikki knew some people some Brits that knew the centre and knew the people that ran the centre, and their opinion was that my Bulgarian wasn't good enough and that their English wasn't good enough, so it probably wouldn't work out. So we left it, didn't we?
Yeah.
We
didn't
left it. We didn't investigate it any further than that. We just left it. So about a year or so later, our daughter Dominique came over for a holiday. And she was over for a fortnight, so we did all the sort of Majarovo, Karandila, everywhere else.
Because she likes nature too.
Yeah, she loves nature. And then we had the last day, so it was on the last day we weren't sure what to do. So I said, well, why don't we go to Stara Zagora? Because it's a nice city anyway, and we can visit the rescue centre again. So we did. That's what we did. We went to the rescue centre again, and we came away, and I went to Nikki, I really do want to volunteer there. So Nikki decided that she would, as usual, she's the one who does all the work with things like that, she would inquire. So she contacted the rescue centre and spoke to Christina and said, do you take volunteers? And the answer was yes. And she said, English speaking volunteers? So she went, yes, that's fine. So I arranged to go, didn't I? And I went along, and they gave me some horrible job to do to start off with. I think it was tidying a room out.
It was to see how much they could push.
Yeah, I think they were testing me. That's right. So I started doing a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday. It's an hour and a half from where we lived, and the second time I went, I didn't go to the new base. I went to the old base only, which is the breeding and visitor section, and basically got involved with the helping the feeding and the cleaning of the aviaries and things like that. So one of the first jobs I had over at the old base was to clean the pond, and the pond's fairly large, really mucky and dirty and horrible. All the leaves and stuff like that get into it. So there's a plug. You pull the plug, and the idea is the water goes out. Unfortunately, that doesn't work because it gets clogged up very, very quickly. So it's all got to be done by buckets. So I'm doing this, and I'm doing hundreds of buckets of water effectively out of this thing, backwards and forwards, and all the time I'm absolutely laughing my head off and enjoying it, smiling away. And I can see that the other staff there, or the volunteers, whatever they are, whoever it was walking past, is looking as if saying, this Englishman is mad. Why on earth is he laughing so much and just still enjoying what was basically a horrible, dirty job?
Because you're crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't just that though, was it? I had a little bit of assistance from a pelican called Philip. And Philip had decided that every bucket of water had to be inspected before I could empty it, in case there was anything in it worth eating.
Was there?
No, there was never, because they don't feed the pelicans in the pond.
Right.
So there was never going to be any food in there.
Another bird might have hidden
But
something.
you never know. He really wasn't going to take that chance on missing out. So every single bucket, I'm trying to pull the buckets out. I've got his great big beak in there, trying to get away from him. And then when there's a tiny little bit, he's got his beak in. I'm trying to move him out of the way so I can actually get the rest of the water. And then it's power hose everything down, and he's like, what on earth is going on here? He's really nosy and inquisitive. Wants to know what's going on. Absolutely, that's what it looked like. So all this time I'm having a howling whale of a time. It's great. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
so we did that.
For you,
Absolutely, yeah. Everything's new. I just
experience.
can't believe I'm getting this close to these animals. You know, these birds. So so basically, I was doing the 3 days a week, and I continued doing the 3 days a week for quite some time. All this time, obviously, we've realised something that I need to work with nature.
Yeah.
Okay, I love working on nature.
I'm a very happy-go-lucky, go with the flow type person usually. I'm easygoing, aren't I? Whereas you are a little bit more demanding.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. You're higher maintenance.
High maintenance, yeah. I always think in most couples there's one that's high maintenance, and in this case it's me. I need a little bit more to satisfy than you do. So anyway, we decided that yes, that's what we're going to do. I was going to do that, but how was this going to lead to some work? Because as we discussed in the series, somewhere along the line, we knew that we needed to work at some point. So whilst we were having the luxury of a little bit of time off to sort of find our feet and everything else, we knew that work was something that was going to have to come into the equation somewhere along the line.
Well, by this point, this is what year are we talking about now?
2010-ish.
Yes, 2010.
Between 2010
and 2012.
This was 2012. Yeah.
So we've been there like semi-retired pretty much.
5 years.
For 5 years.
Yeah.
Since.
Yeah.
So
we came to the conclusion that
the only thing
we
could
do
do
was move back
to the
to
UK.
get some qualifications or some sort of experience in working with nature. So we had set something up to go to the National Trust in Sakar, in Wales.
You got an internship for a year.
Yeah, I got an internship for a year.
And we decided we could afford to go back for a year, and hopefully it would lead to work.
Yeah. But in the meantime, my Bulgarian colleagues who I was volunteering with, etc., the staff there at the rescue centre, asked me if I really wanted to go back to the UK. I said, well, not really, but I want to work with nature. I loved working with nature, and I had this opportunity to go and do that. So they said to me, well, we need somebody to go to Wales, to go to Carmarthen, and to Nick Fox's breeding centre, falcon breeding, and learn how to breed falcons, because there may, wasn't a definite, but there may be a project with the Sakerfalcon in the future. They couldn't guarantee it, but this was 3 months, and it would give me some experience, and I could come back to Bulgaria.
And it would be something to put on your CV.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we thought it was definitely
he's a well-renowned breeder.
Even if you didn't get a job from it, it would be.
We thought it was a positive, and it might give us an opportunity to stay in Bulgaria.
But the problem with that meant that I had to be on my own for 3 months, and we'd never been more than a week away from each other before that. It would mean that I would be on my own at the like in our house on the edge of the village. And it was a bit scary to think, that I...
But you hadn't driven, did you?
I hadn't driven for 5 years, pretty much. Yeah,
you sort of kind of left it to me.
Because you sort of did the shopping and... I did stop driving.
You weren't so bothered,
it was just easier,
absolutely.
Leave the car seat in the same position,
absolutely.
Sort of thing.
If we went somewhere, we went together usually anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
If we went out, so to speak. You very rarely went out anywhere on your own.
No, exactly. So it meant that suddenly I'm faced with, bugger, I'm going to have to drive because I'm going to have to get shopping, etc. So some friends in the village had said, well, it's not a problem, we'll help you, we'll take you and all that. And I thought, no, this is stupid. I learned to drive years ago. So I need to do it. So, and I thought I can't use that as an excuse, let them do it for me. So basically, we learned how to drive again. You were really great, I have to say. Really great in teaching me like I was a learner again, weren't you?
Most things.
So, and I really was like a learner. I was so nervous of getting behind that wheel.
But once you'd started to do it, you realised that it was actually quite easy to drive in Bulgaria.
Eventually.
Most of the roads aren't quite so busy. I went off to Wales.
This was when?
2013. 2013 this was.
Yeah.
So I went off, must
March,
have
March,
been about
April, May,
beginning of March it was,
Yeah.
to do this training of the Falcons. And Nikki stayed in Bulgaria, and
no, I had a whale of time.
yes, she did.
It was great.
Far too much fun.
I had
like
so much quality.
I was working really hard.
So much really quality sleep.
Cold, wet Wales.
Oh gosh, it was awful,
it was
wasn't it?
terrible.
But the weather was gorgeous.
I think when I got there, it's something like the coldest winter on record or something stupid like that. It was freezing.
And you did your back in.
I did my back in. That didn't help. So,
so
but I did what I needed to do. I got the training out of it. When I got back to the rescue centre, I've done this training. The project that they were thinking of still hadn't got the go ahead, but surprisingly to me, they offered me a full-time job, which was amazing. So my job was to basically do what I was doing as a volunteer, cleaning, tidying, feeding the birds, and all sorts of things like that, which was just fantastic. I absolutely
beyond your
loved it.
wildest dreams.
Yeah, there's no way I thought I would be doing that.
Because what we haven't mentioned is that, I don't know if it's been mentioned in the Typo videos, but you were a retail manager.
Yes.
So
it was always a case of
you had no experience in nature.
So I always wondered whether my skill set in management would transfer to working in something like nature. And I can tell you, yes, it does. Man management, time management, all those types of things are all exactly the same. No matter what the business is, the subject might change. And obviously you're talking about live animals as opposed to other things, live people.
Which are easiest to deal with?
Definitely animals. Give me animals any day of the week.
Yeah, I agree. I've worked in customer service, so I know.
And it progressed very quickly from there as well, didn't it? Because I started off as, obviously, as I said, doing cleaning and things like that.
Yeah.
That
was
then
on the
project,
visitor centre.
That's it, yeah. And then the project got the go ahead. So I was in charge of the breeding section of that, breeding side of that. So my job was to breed Sakerfalcons.
What was the project called?
It was the Sakerfalcon reintroduction project, basically.
Reintroduction into Bulgaria.
Yeah. So it's to reintroduce them as a breeding species.
Yeah.
I don't think they hadn't found any recorded breeding pairs for about 20 years.
Yeah.
So
and you
this
had
was
a target of
we introduced about 20 chicks a year.
20 chicks a year. Yeah.
So when it came to doing that, obviously, 2014 was my first year of having to breed on my own, so to speak. I did have some great friends I've made in the UK, Tom and Holly in particular, who were absolutely fantastic in the help that they gave me. But I was doing that, and then the Bulgarian guy who was actually in charge of the project, left. So I suddenly got promoted again quite quickly because I had to do more. I was more now involved in all aspects of the project instead. Yeah. We took on a guy from Spain called David. Fantastic, love David. Yeah. So I'm in charge of the Saker project. That's going great. And then I got promoted.
Supervisor.
I got promoted to supervisor, which of the old base, the visitors section and the breeding site. Which was just beyond my wildest dreams, to be honest, because all of it, obviously the whole progression of everything. Yeah. Obviously my management skills were noted. I was able to organise things, and as I said, if you can do man management and time management, I don't think it matters. It's just obviously the subject has changed. And I loved it. I was loving every single part of it. It was just amazing. The people I was working with also all felt so passionate about what we were doing, so we were trying to mend things, recuperate them, get them back out into the wild. That was first and foremost. Secondly was the breeding. There was the Sakers, the lesser kestrels, bearded vultures. The bearded vultures, what a stunning bird. So I actually got to hatch a bearded vulture in the nest, because it was stuck and having difficulty getting out of its egg. So I had to peel it all out and everything else, all on video, everything.
You would be one of a few people in the world that would ever do something like that.
To get that opportunity was, you just weren't, you can't. you just can't explain
Can't
it.
beat it.
So we couldn't really.
Obviously, the travelling from Yamble to
The
Stara
first year
was difficult, wasn't it?
The first year I worked at the centre full time. It's a 90-minute drive each way, and that was
basically
quite
spending
tiring.
your wages.
Effectively, yeah. So, but it was our decision to do that. That's fine. So we looked for a house nearer, and we found one in a village just outside of Stara. So we moved. What this meant is, because I was talking about that natural progression earlier of things, we sort of followed the things as they happened, was that I'm now obviously working and I'm all my times in Stara. I had to give up the football. It wasn't an easy decision to make, but it was just a natural decision to make. The football team was up running. They had everything they needed. They didn't necessarily need me. I didn't believe they needed me any longer. They were where they needed to be. There was a new mayor. They were still playing games. They were still in the league, whatever. So I walked away from the football at that point because I just didn't then have the time. And to be fair, my focus and my passion had completely moved somewhere I'd never expected it to move. And obviously I was then fully committed to doing the birds and enjoying that. We still went out whenever we could, and still, even working with birds and holding birds and handling birds and doing things like that, it's still not the same as seeing them where they're supposed to be in the wild.
No, however, our house was pretty amazing. It was a 3-storey bungalow, because I wanted a bungalow, basically.
So you were able to live on the bottom floor.
But we found this amazing 3-storey house, which is like nothing I've seen in, like, certainly around that area.
Anyway, it was huge. It was beautiful. It was just amazing.
And you kind of convinced me. Well, we could put everything on the ground floor. So we did.
There's your bungalow.
So we had the bungalow, and then we had guest accommodation on the second floor, and then on the top floor,
I turned it into a massive aviary.
Yes.
Basically, so one of the birds at the centre, a common buzzard called Mishu, came home with me.
Yes.
So I was able to train Mishu with flying and everything else from my house, which was great.
Yeah.
We also released a few birds from owls. Some owls from up there.
Yeah.
It was just a great position to be in. We even saw one year a wild Sakerfalcon that wasn't anything to do with the project. There was no ring on it whatsoever. In our village, which was just like wow.
And the project,
even working with them, and then to see a wild one, was just
exactly.
like,
and the project, I mean, it did
do well. There are now, I believe, the latest count is 3 pairs of breeding Sakerfalcons in the wild in Bulgaria. So the numbers are starting to increase, which is brilliant, and they're starting to be spotted a little bit. So hopefully it's going to build from that. That would be fantastic. But all the work they do with the rescue centre was just. That's just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was absolutely amazing.
And obviously you can visit it, so it's in the heart of Stara. So contact us if you want to know where, and come along and
support them.
Support them.
Yeah, support
definitely.
them. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Please support them. They're always looking for financing, obviously, and what the work they do is just amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. They work so hard on so many different projects as well, and what they do is pretty unique, I think. Certainly for Bulgaria itself.
Yeah, for Bulgaria, definitely.
And they are and they're amazing people. Absolutely amazing people. At this point, everything's going really well.
Yeah.
Yep. We're
project's going well.
Properly settled. Really enjoying our lives.
Yeah.
Can't believe the way they've
how lucky we are.
Out. Yeah.
How lucky we've been.
Incredible. And then, well, basically,
everything changed.
Yeah.
We'll tell you about that in the next session.
That's the end of this session. Thanks ever so much for watching and staying with us, guys, and hopefully see you next time. Yeah.
Take care.
Cheers for now. Ta-da.